After their best season of the 2000s, the New York Knicks decided to fire their head coach, Tom Thibodeau. And here are my thoughts on it. Hey, y'all, it's Kidboy of the Boxer One. And before I get into this analysis, I just wanted to say this so y'all know I'm qualified. I've been a Knicks fan since I was about 5 years old. This is pre-Mellow trade. So I remember seeing Stephon Marbury on my screen. I remember glimpses of Chris Duhon. So just so y'all know, I know exactly what the fuck I'm talking about when it comes to the Knicks. Um, but yeah, let's talk about the New York Knicks firing Tom Thibodeau. I finally got around to talking about this. It took me a while to put my thoughts together, but yeah, I'll start with the good. The good is, I mean, this isn't the good. This is the great. The great is Tom Thibodeau is the best Knicks coach in my lifetime. Period. I wasn't around for the Van Gundy era. I wasn't around for the Pat Riley era. I've been here before Tom Thibodeau. The best coach was either Mike Woodson or Mike D'Antoni. And respectfully to them, those are damn good coaches. Mike Woodson didn't get a fair shake, and Mike D'Antoni just also had a poor front office to deal with. But yeah, so Tom Thibodeau was the best coach of my lifetime for this franchise. He was fourth in total wins and fifth in playoff wins in franchise history. And I'll admit, I'm gonna miss him. I love Tibbs. He will always have a special place in my heart as a Knicks fan. But the unfortunate reality is he had to go. He couldn't he couldn't make adjustments, man. There were times throughout the Pacers series where he should have just left Mitch in the game. He was dominating the offensive glass, and as I've talked about with the Thunder series, the best way to beat the Pacers is to dominate the glass. That is how you control the tempo of the game and you slow it down and make them actually run half court offenses as opposed to these fast paced sets. But yeah, there were a lot of times where Tibbs was stubborn. He didn't want to move away from certain players. Respectfully, Josh Hart was one of those players. He should not have played 35 minutes a night in that series, in that Pacers series, especially since he got removed from the starting lineup. Um, I mean, there were a lot. Not to mention, he refused to play his bench during the regular season and the playoffs, which greatly limited our rotation. Like there was no cohesion there. Um, Not to mention because he didn't play the bench much, he didn't get to experiment much with lineups. So we never really got to see like OG at the small ball five. We never got to see the 2-3 guard lineup where you would have Brunson, maybe a Josh Hart or a Campaign and a Deuce McBride. All three of those guys running it. We didn't see that as often as we wanted to, or even a 4 guard lineup with Josh Hart at the four, running small ball with this against this fast-paced Pacers team. We never got to see real lineup experimentation in the regular season, and that greatly hindered our versatility in the playoffs. Not to mention the fact that Ian Begley came out and said that like players leaked to him that they didn't know their roles and they made it to the Eastern Conference Finals. If they had known their roles, this could have been the year. And I hate to say that because I never thought I'd say that about my New York Knicks. But my goodness, this really could have been the year. And because of coaching, there wasn't we fumbled, we dropped the ball a bit. However, the East is wide open next year. The Celtics are injured. The Pacers look good, but their lack of depth at the five spot does concern me, and it leaves a big, big Achilles heel for them in rebounding. As I've always said, rebounding. Um, but yeah, not to mention his refusal to play young players. I should have known that Tibbs' job was on the hot seat when basically back in January, we had what Mitchell Robinson was out, Cat was injured a little bit, so Ariel Huckporty, the undrafted rookie, or I want to say no, undrafted rookie, uh, got some burn, and he proved to be amazing. So in a specific January performance, the owner of the team, James Dolan, came to the locker room to congratulate him. That was a red flag in and of itself for Tibbs' job because James Dolan never does that. He only like you rarely see him unless it is a special occasion. He came in the locker room specifically to congratulate the same rookie that Tom Thibodeau refused to play minutes, to refuse to give minutes to, despite him being productive in his limited minutes. And then, not to mention, Huck Forty isn't even the worst offender, the worst like the worst receiver of this because Tyler Kolek should have gone more burn. Pacome Dadier should have gone more burn. But when you go back to the backlog of young talent, Quentin Grimes was the perfect two guard to play next to Jalen Brunson. And because Tibbs did not want to run any offense through him, we didn't get to see that potential on full display. Obi Toppin. Oh man, Obi. I miss you, Obi. I understand we had an all NBA player in front of him, but my goodness, Obi Toppin should have gotten more touches and more plays ran for him when he was on the Knicks. Emmanuel Quickly. I miss you so much, Quick. But Emmanuel Quickly was an amazing secondary ball handler next to Brunson, especially in the spark plug role that they gave him. Oh, oh man. But yeah, because of Tibbs, Leon Rose and the Knicks front office had to squander a lot of young talent to to fit Tibbs' system, which doesn't prioritize young talent for some reason. But yeah, that's that for how I feel of Tibbs. Now on to the coaching search and the media backlash of the coaching search. Because I'll admit, the Knicks coaching search has been unorthodox. I'm not going to say it was bad, it's been good, but it's been unorthodox. They've approached 5 teams to interview their current head coaches. These include Quinn Snyder of the Atlanta Hawks, Billy Donovan of the Chicago Bulls, Ime Udoka of the Houston Rockets, Chris Finch of the Minnesota Timberwolves, and Jason Kidd of the Dallas Mavericks. So they're clearly looking at some older guys. So they've approached all these teams. Then, not to mention, they've been looking at Taylor Jenkins, the former coach of the Memphis Grizzlies, and Mike Brown, the former coach of the Sacramento Kings. I'm not going to talk about those prospects themselves because I'm going to have a different video set aside for my favorite candidates so I can like dive into nitty gritty. But I'll say this: I like Taylor Jenkins. I'm iffy on Mike Brown because Mike Brown has some interesting rotation decisions, especially with the Keon Ellis situation in Sacramento. But I wanted to focus on the media backlash because I like to call this what's occurring is what I and other Knicks fans have graciously called the Knicks for clicks effect, which is basically when the Knicks make a move, the media scrutinizes said move or praises said move or analyzes said move with the biggest magnifying glass in the world. Because when the Knicks fired Tom Thibodeau, there was an uproar I haven't seen for the firing of a head coach in a long, long time. Um, this is right before the NBA Finals, mind you. So the biggest thing before Game One of the NBA Finals, the biggest story in the NBA isn't the two small market teams that built well, that drafted ridiculously well. It's the Knicks fired their head coach after making their first Eastern Conference Finals in 25 years. And I can understand how that is appealing as a journalist. However, however, where was this reaction when Mike Malone got fired from the Nuggets? Days before the postseason. Not weeks, days before the postseason. The postseason was about to start in about a week, and that man, Michael Malone, a championship winning head coach, 2 seasons ago, mind you, 2 seasons, not three, not four, not five, 2 seasons ago, championship winning coach got fired days before the postseason. Where was this reaction? Where was it? It got to the point where Rick Carlisle, who is the current Pacers head coach and is also the head of the coaches union, in the middle of his finals presser before game one, made a statement about Tom Thibodeau being fired. And kudos to him for being a good union president, because that is how you have your coaches' backs. And again, I will give him the flowers. But I did not see a reaction like this when Michael Malone got fired. And that was 2 months ago. So you guys have to understand where I'm coming from when I say this is a Knicks for clicks ass reaction. Secondly, because I'm starting to yell and this audio is probably getting fucked right now. And I'm gonna have to mix the shit out of this audio in editing and post production. But secondly, because the Knicks approached other teams for their head coaches, the media has been dragging them. There was a Ringer article where it's like the dumpster fire of a coaching search from the New York Knicks. Let me tell y'all something, because I don't think NBA media knows this. You can trade for NBA coaches. You can interview coaches that are currently in the positions and trade for NBA coaches. And let me give you 5 fucking instances where this has happened in NBA history. One, Mike Dunleavy got traded from the Lakers to the Bucks for 2 second-round picks in 1992. Two, Pat Riley from the Knicks to the Heat for a first-round pick and $1 million in cash. Stan Van Gundy to the Magic from the Pistons for 2 second-round picks. Mind you, this one's kind of funny because Stan Van Gundy was the general manager at the time, so he was the one who okayed the interview, okayed the trade, and then ultimately ended up coaching the Magic to the finals in 2 seasons after this, mind you, beating Braun in the Eastern Conference Finals with Dwight Howard, mind you. Then Doc Rivers to the Clippers for a first-round pick from the Celtics. Then Jason Kidd to the Bucks for 2 second-round picks, one of the coaches who we tried to get from the Mavericks. So you guys see a theme here, right? So if this is something that has been established as precedent, I'll admit it's an exception, not the rule, but it is a precedent that has been established. Why is there big uproar? Why is there such a huge uproar? And I fully understand, yes, it could be the guys that they're going after. And that I can understand. Because going after Imo Udoka, Chris Finch, and Jason Kidd, all three championship contending teams, is messy as hell. But that's the point. It's to be messy. It's messy. Like I don't messy is the best, not the best term, but it's to be a home wrecker, right? The Knicks are trying to stir up problems with other organizations. The Knicks are finally playing dirty. And I'm sorry, y'all, basketball is a business. You got to play dirty to win. The Boston Celtics did it, and they got the most rings of any franchise in the NBA. Yes, most of those were before, like, I could drink from the same water fountain as a white guy. But still, they have the most rings in NBA in the NBA. But still, like you have to play dirty. You have to muck up the market, because recently, guess who got an 8-figure extension? Ime Udoka of the Houston Rockets, because they said we value our guy. What does this say to the Mavericks? What does this say to the Timberwolves? What does this say to Chris Finch? What does this say to Jason Kidd? Basically says to them, pay your guys before they leave for a bigger market. And I can understand other teams' anger. Cause yeah, I get it. I'd be pissed too if I'm other teams. I just don't understand the media's anger. Because my goodness, this is not your business. Report the shit. Like report it objectively, man. And I don't know, man. It just gives me shades. I think this reaction just gives me shades to a time when we were a media circus. And now we're actually a somewhat well-run organization. The media has been trying to turn us back into a clown show. And honestly, I want to get angry, but the fact that there is hatred towards this Knicks team and this Knicks organization and how they are actually operating and maneuvering is a sign of good things to come. However, this media reaction is it's abhorrent. It sucks because we should not be. This is why I didn't want to talk about the coaching stuff because the NBA finals are going on. The best finals of the past of the fucking decade are going on right now. I think it would be very greedy of me to talk about my team when this beautiful series is going on. But I feel like I have to at this point because they are genuinely trying to rush the Knicks into making a decision. Also, this is another thing. They've been clowning the Knicks for not having a plan when they were 2 wins away from the NBA Finals. So they shouldn't have a coaching plan in place. At least right now, like out there, like, yes, they should have a plan, but not in the short term, immediate future. Probably more long term next season, next after, right? Next off season, whatnot. But it feels as if the media has been trying to pressure the Knicks into just being like, oh my goodness, get the circus off our backs. Boom, we'll hire a guy. Oh, Mike Malone, and then get scared and just hire Mike Malone and hire the same guy that Thibs is because Mike Malone is the same motherfucker. No disrespect, no shade. He won a title, but he won a title because a top 75 player of all time and a 3-time MVP was on his roster. That's why he won the title. He won the title because the talent on that team got hot at the right time. Michael Porter Jr. had his best series, best postseason of his lifetime. And that's why he won the title. Not because he was a good coach. Because he did not put them in the best situations to win that title. But yeah, my bad, y'all. I'm ranting because, oh my goodness, the media gets me fucking pissed every time. Especially that big four-headed fake ass Knicks fan on ESPN. If you know, you fucking know who I'm talking about. That dude gets me pissed off because he never knows what he's talking about. And he never even watches the games. And that other dude, that white guy, fucking Wendy. Yeah, fuck you, Wendy. That dude also pisses me off because he always wants to stir up some shit about the Knicks not having a plan, the Knicks not doing this, this, and that. It's been 2 weeks. A coaching search should not only take 2 weeks, unless you are unless you are not a postseason team and all you're doing for the offseason before draft time is interviews. Because look at the Suns. It took 5 weeks for them to find and hire Jordan Knott. I do want to make a video on that. I will get a video out to y'all on that shortly because I really think that's a great hire. And then look at the Knicks' previous hire. It took 4 months for them to hire Tom Thibodeau and that coaching search for them to conduct that coaching search and finish that one. But yeah, I'm happy that the Knicks aren't rushing their options and they're actually taking their time and surveying the landscape and the market and seeing who is available and who's not available. Cause I bet you money. I bet you guys money. If the Knicks reached out to 10 teams and 5 teams came out with reports saying that they denied that offer, I bet you there is a team out there that has not leaked that report yet and is probably negotiating a deal with the Knicks. I bet you. I hope it's the Blazers. I hope it's Chauncey Billups. I would love for Chauncey Billups to come back to the Knicks, man. But But oh, that's a great candidate. But but with that being said, I hope the Knicks take their time finding their coach. I hope they wait till after the draft because I don't think a coach should have that much bearing in on our second round pick. We don't have a first round pick this year. So on our second round pick, he'll have some bearing on the free agency class, but I trust Leon Rose to completely handle that with class. But with that being said, y'all, peace, like, comment, subscribe, and peace, y'all.